don't want to say that things are guaranteed to change, but I do want to have a conversation about the top-paid forward on the Vancouver Canucks, Elias Pettersson, and how, at the very least, even if it's not guaranteed that we see a successful, full-throttle, highest ceiling possible change on the ice, at the very least, there will be a change internally. Today, of course, we are diving into the story of Petey and what happens next in this illustrious NHL career he has formed for himself. Pettersson was a former 100-point player who inevitably dipped and fell all the way to getting half that amount of points and fewer in the seasons to come. Now Pettersson is making $11.6 million a year. He'll be making that dollar amount until 2032, where he'll be, 33, 34 years old? Yeah, it's gonna be a while for Elias Pettersson on this dollar amount deal. But ultimately, Pettersson has been dealt a very difficult hand with his time in the Vancouver Canucks organization. And I know that you can say all the same things that we have said over the past few years. This guy fell off. This guy stopped scoring. This guy lost his confidence. This guy is not dangerous. All of those things, I think, generally do apply when thinking about Pettersson. But for me personally, I kind of accepted a long time ago that EP40 of yesteryear is not the EP40 of today. That once upon a time he was a 100-point player, and once upon a time he was playing at a level where $11.6 million was justifiable. But as the years have gone on, that version of Pettersson has withered away. So what can the Canucks do now? What can you do to bring out the best of what Pettersson is capable of today in 2026? I think that's the more important question, rather than asking whether or not he is fully capable of even getting back up to 100-plus points in a season. There are some other elements that bleed into Petey and his downfall over the past few years, but what I wanted to refer to in this video was a comment made by Ryan Johnston about Elias Pettersson and what approach the Canucks seem to be taking this year in regards to Petey and his future. Ryan Johnston said yesterday during his press availability he had a very open and honest conversation with Elias Pettersson. RJ says he is very comfortable with Petey being himself. He went on to say he is not asking Elias to be something that he is not at his core. The new Vancouver GM is clearly taking a different approach than the previous regime. Now this update is quite interesting because the Sedins, for the most part, whenever they speak about Elias Pettersson, they always kind of hover around the same conversation points. They comment on Pettersson needing to get ready for training camp better, he needs to prepare in the off-season. It's that big word, prepare. Prepare. He's got to be prepared. That's been the biggest thing that the Sedins have hammered down in regards to Petey over the past few weeks. Now, we understand that supposedly Pettersson and the Sedins don't really have the best relationship that one may have anticipated them to have, considering they're both Swedes, and the Sedins were older, more experienced guys and were executives at the developmental level for Vancouver's AHL team. And even though Pettersson was never on the Abbotsford Canucks, there still is a weird element to the idea that him and the Sedins don't really get along in the ways that it has been reported over the years. Ryan Johnson, on the other hand, there doesn't seem to be that same element of, oh, he doesn't really get along with Petey in the same way the co-presidents don't. Ryan Johnson's just a cool dude, you know? He talks well, he seems to understand the vision of what he wants to build, and for Elias Pettersson, he's straight up saying that Petey is a guy that he is okay with having on the team, being 100% himself. This is totally different from some of the other word we had heard from Vancouver Canucks people over the years. Rick Tocchet was under siege when he said that they want to reprogram the way Elias Pettersson thinks the game. It's kind of funny, I think it was Sapster who tweeted this out yesterday or 2 days ago, something like that. It was something along the lines of, hey, Rick Tocchet wanted Pettersson to be a third-line center quality player. Well, guess what? He's that now. And maybe there's a little bit of a satirical element to that, but essentially the way Elias Pettersson plays, where he is so focused on the defense and he has committed himself to just being a two-way guy and he is lacking that offensive element to his game, that is the kind of profile that Canucks fans are kind of tired of these days. He's no longer offensively dangerous. He doesn't shoot as often. He doesn't make dangerous plays anymore. And if Ryan Johnson can come in here and say, hey, Petey, look, all that reprogramming your brain stuff that you had with the last regime, all the drama with players in the locker room that had an issue with the way you are as a person, that's all out the window. That's last year. That's 2 years ago. You don't have to deal with that now. We're focusing on the culture. We're focusing on building a group of guys that want to be able to play together and that are willing to develop alongside of each other, not in a let's demean the top paid guy on the team because he's underperforming kind of way, but in a, okay, what can we do to support each other type of environment? What can we do to support the community? What can we do to build a culture in this room that shows genuine compassion, professionalism, and talent all rolled into one? I don't want to name names, I don't want to point any fingers, and I don't want to say that anything is 100% true, but based off of people that I've talked to in this city, people that know people, there are a lot of stories about JT Miller and the Canucks locker room and his relationship with Petey and how destructive it seemed to be, especially when you think about some of the other leaders in the room that either watched that happen and didn't really do anything about it, or that tried to console Pettersson behind the scenes, tell the guy, hey, you just got to keep your head up, do your thing, don't listen to him, whatever. As more information comes out and as more things start getting leaked through the city, I feel like we all can understand that there is a weight lifted off the shoulders of Elias Pettersson with this kind of an attitude being prioritized with Canucks executives. That didn't seem to be what the last regime prioritized. Patrick Allvin, I'm sorry, buddy, but we don't really know what you wanted. You weren't the main dude. Everything was being controlled by the puppet strings of Jim Rutherford that dangled you from your arms, head, and legs. That is the way the Canucks were ran the past few years. Jim Rutherford and his very peculiar way of building a team and sending his message into the media with a certain type of attitude that Rick Tocchet wanted to enforce into his players, and JT Miller being the face of it. It's a tough go reviewing the past few years' worth of Vancouver Canucks hockey, even with the playoff run in 2024. The fact that Elias Pettersson was already hurt in the 24 season, and that February into March into an inevitable playoff run is when Pettersson started to underperform, the fact that it all aligns there as the starting point where everything fell apart, it's so sad, because it's like, yeah, no, they were in Game 7 of the second round. They played off against the inevitable finalists. They lost in Game 7 to Connor McDavid, who inevitably won the Conn Smythe that year. It's ridiculous, man. And now you think about it, Vancouver's going through a rebuild. Elias Pettersson, whether he's here or not for it, that remains to be seen. But for now, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Ryan Johnson's new approach to guiding Elias Pettersson down a path that can hopefully lead him back to being himself again? Whether or not that means 100-point NHL production, I'm not sure. But at the very least, we hope that he is just better. Straight up, right? By how much, that remains to be seen. But for now, thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.